Hi, everyone. Happy first real snow day of the year. Happy Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald Day. And I hope you're all doing well. I wanted to pop in here as the quarter rapidly draws to a close with a couple pointers for you as you work on revising your content for your final portfolio, as well as a couple of housekeeping notes about the class, late work, AI, etc. So let's get into it. First of all, some pointers based on your videos, which I just took a look at. They're all looking great. There's a really good mix of funny stuff, aesthetic stuff, stuff that tells a story. So for the most part, great job, everyone. A couple pointers that might be helpful as you work on revising these videos and creating others. This is especially true for short form video, but as a general rule, you can always kind of find places to cut, find places to trim, even find places to speed up footage, especially if that footage is of an object moving or of someone talking. In general, especially with these platforms where people are almost primed to want to scroll away from your content, most of us are familiar with that if we use TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels. Faster, speeder, almost always better. The second note about videos, particularly short form videos, is that there's a lot that you can do in applications like CapCut and other video editors to add visual interest to your clips. And what I mean by that is you can have your camera zoom in, zoom out, pan around. You can edit the speed, slow up, slow down, speed up, stuff like that. And those little pops of like visual interest can really help gain and keep someone's attention as they're scrolling. So same deal, but for photos this time and graphics in particular, a couple kind of universal pointers that can be really helpful as you work on tweaking these designs. First one, a lot of us were taught in school, center align everything. For most designs, left aligning your text is actually a better practice. So play around with that, see if that looks better. Second tip is make sure your text is readable. It's really easy to lose sight of this when you're trying to create a great image that also showcases a product or a brand or an aesthetic. But make sure that whatever background you select, the text is readable. Don't be afraid to use tools, whether that be highlights on the text itself or blurs and gradients overlaid on the background image to make sure that your text pops against your background. Lastly, when you're thinking about layout, especially for graphics that have a lot more text in them, something to keep in mind is that most folks, especially if their primary language reads left to right, are going to process information left to right. So a good rule of thumb as a graphic designer is to lay out your content in a Z shape. So if there's something you want people to read first, put it at the top upper left of the page where you would start writing a Z. If there's something that you want people to read last, for instance, a link you want them to click or something you want them to do, you might want to put that at the bottom of the Z, bottom right corner of your page. So with those tips out of the way, just a couple of quick notes about this class as we wrap up the quarter. First of all, use of AI. This came up especially with video. I am super supportive of people using AI for this class. We don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of resources to like generate content ourselves, especially if we're posting as brands. So please go ahead and use AI to do that. If you need to ideate with something, experiment with a concept, if there's a kind of footage you're envisioning, but you can't find it. But a couple notes about doing that. First of all, in this class, I would really like you to make sure to let me know when you're using AI, let your classmates know. That just really helps us understand what we're looking at, understand where it came from, and give you more helpful feedback. The second thing to keep in mind about AI, and this is more of an IRL thing than it is an in this class thing, is that as of now, it is still noticeable to people when we use AI. Those images, I think we've all experienced AI images that have weird quirks, AI videos that look a little too smooth. It's getting harder and harder to tell, but for folks who do tell, seeing a brand post something with AI can really signal that that brand is not invested, that that brand is not authentic, and can be really a turnoff for viewers. So that's just something to keep in mind. Again, not necessarily for the content you're creating for this class, but as a content creator, thinking about that balance between something that might, on the one hand, be easy and let you experiment with different ideas, and something on the other hand that could potentially turn off your audience. So with that, just a couple housekeeping notes about the class. We are approaching the end of the quarter soon. I mentioned this in my syllabus, but I really want to make sure I'm working with you. If you're facing things that have made you get behind in this class, if you're struggling to keep up, I want to make sure I'm working with you to like help you succeed in this class, whatever that looks like. That means, as a rule, I'm pretty flexible with late work, especially if you've fallen behind on discussion boards. Please don't let being late stop you from posting your content. If you're doing so, if you're posting content that's a week late, 2 weeks late, just let me know so I know to go in there and give it a look, give you some feedback. If you're like super behind in this class, please reach out to me, and I'm really happy to work with you to figure out a plan to get you caught up in a way that makes sense for what else is going on in your life and still gives you all the benefits that you would get from this class. An important caveat about late work is that I am as flexible as I can be up until the end of the quarter. After, I believe it's November 25th this year, I won't be able to be as flexible because of deadlines around submitting grades. So if you're someone who's trying to catch up in this class, reach out sooner rather than later, certainly before November 25th, and we can work something out. All right, with that, everyone, I hope you got out and enjoyed a little bit of snow today. And I'll look forward to seeing your revisions and your final portfolios come in over the next week. Take care.